Greetings, 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 melanated brothers and sisters. This is Deanne coming at you. The Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. So, yeah, I just want to talk about some things that have been going on in the news and the rest of the crazy in this country. You gotta laugh keep from crying. So this is where we are today. And so let's get into it. I want to, first of all, hopefully you all had a wonderful, beautiful day. And this is my kitty cat. Hi. Uh, she's making an appearance. Okay, so this is Bonnie. Okay, so let's get her out of the screen. All right, so this is Deanne coming at you. Melanin Report 360. Like, follow, share, subscribe. The Melanin Report 360. The Melanin Report 360. The Melanin Report 360. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. So let's go ahead and read the fair use disclaimer because we're gonna talk about a few things, and I just want to dot my I's, cross my T's. And so, yeah, this is, okay, this is the last day of the presidency, number 45. My brother never would say President Donald J. Trump. He would just say number 45. So he just gave a name of insequential, non-insequential situations, and he just wanted to impart that he didn't have any place in his consciousness or his life. So let me go ahead and read the fair use disclaimer so we can dot our I's, cross our T's. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might not otherwise be infringing. Okay, so we got that out the way. So yeah, the picture behind me, it is No Man's Band, No Man's Band, No Man's Band by Leroy Campbell. Leroy Campbell, just give a shout out to the beautiful backdrop, No Man's Band, No Man's Band, No Man's Band. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I got a communication from a subscriber, and she told me that my volume was low. So hopefully everyone is hearing me loud and clear. I adjusted my audio, and perhaps you are hearing me loud and clear. So this is still, hopefully my stylist is watching, and she will have pity on me and get me in her chair by the end of the week so I can get another cut. So anyway, we're not going to be sidetracked. So it's growing up evenly, but it would be nice to have a more chic look. So if you know who you are, so if you are watching, you get me in the chair, get me in the chair, get me in the chair. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about President Donald J. Trump. This is the last day. I think he pulled the plug on his own situation about a week ago. We haven't heard from him. I think he made some type of farewell speech today. I think he's already been in Mar-a-Lago. I think that's where the golf course and all that is. So he already pulled the plug, since he was not reelected. He did not come back in office. Maybe they select office presidents and they did not select him. So whether you believe in the the voting, or I typically vote only because my ancestors could not vote. So I don't necessarily believe one way or the other of the outcome. I know the agenda is already set. And with that, I keep that in mind. And I believe that's the only fundamental reason why I vote. I mean, there was some years ago that I actually did not vote. I did not exercise my right. And I had a conversation. I was living in Atlanta at the time. And I had a couple of conversations with, Atlanta is a hotbed of progressive minds and so forth. And so we had like a round table discussion kind of at my home. I had a lovely home in Atlanta, and oftentimes people would rap, and we have, some really critical thinkers and beautiful, beautiful souls. So, um, a lot of engagement, and I wouldn't trade anything of my Atlanta years because it got me to this place in my life. So all of my lessons and blessings and opportunity definitely came from Atlanta. And so I think the conversation came up on voting or not voting, and I like that particular time. It was like in the '90s, so it's been a while. And so I said, well, I don't vote. I don't vote. Like that system is blah blah blah. And so, you know, we went around and talked about voting or not voting, or the system, not in the system, blah blah blah. And so the conversation came up that one brother just said the reason why I voted or I'm voting it's because the system did not allow us to vote. Blood was shed in the streets and so forth, so on. And it dawned on me, like, yeah, that's a reason to vote. That is a reason to vote. And I never turned back. I never turned back. And I saw it as whether I believe people are selected, not elected, whether I believe that there is, we don't understand if it's rigged. We don't have a clear understanding. But the mere fact that my ancestors could not vote for many, 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 many decades. Once they were emancipated, supposedly, um, it was still denied, because we were looked at as three-fifths of a human through, Reconstruction. I mean, years and years and years. So the Bill of Rights and all of, I mean, it was just horrific. So for that reason, that's a reason enough. For that reason, I exercise my right to vote, because that wasn't a truth in our community. We were on the sidelines, and so even though we were paying taxes, we were doing this, doing that. As a citizen, it's not like they were saying, well, we don't consider you a human, so that way we won't tax you. But that wasn't the case. So we were continue to pay taxes, so forth and so on. It was interesting. But I just want to not stay on that, but this is the reason primarily why I vote. Okay. So, what has been the legacy of Donald J. Trump? Putting people in cages, illegals, quote unquote illegals, quote unquote building a wall which never been built. I think maybe I haven't even been down in the border. Um, there was a whole lot of hoopla down here in Arizona as one of the border states, and it's just been we haven't even gone. It's I'm not kidding. We just knew there was so much upheaval, and the reason why I did not go, I guess I did not go. With Trump in office, but he did a lot of damage. Um, there was a list, I think, on TV in all of what he did and did not do. And so, what comes to mind? Over 500 children still have not been reunited with their families. And so, I want to say that I hope and pray that these children are reunited with their families. 500 people, 500 children, at whatever age, it's critical. He just threw up his hands. It did not stay in the news cycle maybe 6-8 weeks. That's not a long time. So we just go into the next story. We go into the next story. We have to. But everything moved kind of quickly in his presidency. I think it was just one, horrible situation after another. The other thing that comes to mind, it seems like so much, but when the Tiki Torch guys were in Virginia, and Jews will not replace us. I'm like, wow, who does that? Again, who does that? And so it was front and center. And I think there was a Caucasian lady who they slammed in the cars or something like that. But anyway, there was a woman who died of injuries sustained at the rally. She was on the other side. She was a peaceful protester. And so he said, well, there were good people on both sides, so that was 2 years ago. And I said, well, what else can he do? You know, what else can he do? Watch what you ask for. So, yeah, it was just so much. It was just so much and so horrific. And we had a lot of Black bodies in the street. I think there was an upsurge of Black bodies, a lot of race soldiers as police officers. This is where we were. This is where we are to this moment. So, as you can tell from the reporting of late from last Wednesday, almost a week ago, it was 2 weeks ago. Oh, wow. Yes, 2 weeks ago. It was almost yesterday. 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And you notice that there were so many people that were actually they were in like the Capitol Police or whatever organization they were in. They were actually part of the inside workings of what was going on. So, like, wow, you know, we always thought that, we always felt that as a community, but it was really front and center a couple of weeks ago, Wednesday. And so we have good cops and bad cops. I won't say all cops are bad, and I won't definitely won't say all cops are good. So they're good in certain communities and not so good in our community. I try to avoid them. You know, we don't have a abundance. I don't see police officers like on every block, or you know, we have a melanated um, female police chief. You know, she still has the blue on, but I don't think they over police here. You know, relatively speaking, I think of all the cities I've lived in, Atlanta being a big chunk of time, 10 years. And then I was on the East Coast, a little bit north in North Carolina, and uh, I skipped over South Carolina. I came to Georgia, and then I came out here, and I've been out here 7 years, almost eight. So I relatively think I'm not, I'm out pretty much every day. I'm out pretty much every day. I usually just see one or two police. Now, I'm not driving 50 miles, 100 miles, so I'm not going to say that. But the amount of time I'm out, maybe a couple hours, and I usually do not see a lot of police. Like when I was living in Atlanta, when I was living in Durham, it seems like it was over policing. If anything, it's moderate. I guess it's it's not it's not like every time you turn around you see a police officer. That's not the reality here. I really, I'm not gonna say it's under policing, but I will say it's moderate. I remember when a good friend of mine moved out here, kind of parallel, and in with me moving out here, and she was on the side of the road. This 12 years ago. Yeah, this was probably 12 years ago. And the police officer, she was on the side of the road. She was on the interstate, and she was on the side of the road, and she was taking a call, probably 20 minutes, and the police officer pulled up behind her, you know, like she was like, oh crap, you know. And so he approached her car, and he didn't even run tags or anything, because I don't know what the situation was, but I think she definitely had Georgia plates, something like that. And the officer just asked her if she was okay, if she was in distress, or, you know, with the car or something like that. So, and then she said, no, no, I'm taking a call. And he said, okay, well, good. So he kind of got back in the car and went on. You know, this is typical policing, you know, instead of running the tags and this and that and the other. And so that kind of warmed my heart, because they weren't like over policing. As a African female, a melanated female, he could have run the gamut on her, you know, because she was still on property of the state. And so it could have been horrific, obviously, but he chose to take the high road. So that's a good officer, you know. The lady's okay. I'm gonna get back in my vehicle and go. Um, and I think there was another situation I witnessed, and this was some years ago before I moved back out here. I saw an officer changing a tire. I saw an officer changing a tire. The lady was obviously a little bit older, probably in her 50s. And, we were in traffic, looked to the side, and he was literally changing her tire. So again, this is good policing, protect and serve, protect and serve, protect and serve, not to knock you upside the head and ask questions later. So this is how we become accustomed to policing, and this is not appropriate. So I believe, we have to hold Biden feet to the fire. And like I said, write in, if there's concerns. Obviously, we have concerns up the yin yang because obviously we've been in this country as long as we have, and we're still marching for the same, we're peacefully protesting about the same thing. I did a report yesterday on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Would he see that there was accomplishments? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're talking about the same thing, just another day. Another day. Now we're in 2021. I'm hoping and praying to ancestors and God that, we will not see as much or perhaps none at all policing aggressively of melanated people. That's only my hope. Because I know we have good police and we have bad police. We definitely have both. We definitely have both. If the bad ones turn in, the good ones turn in the bad ones, that's when we can maybe get a handle on this. Let's get back to Trump. So number 45, he has been, my brother, I told my brother, I said, well, I know you consider, 45, blah, blah, blah. I said, but, my brother's a Gemini. And so, Trump is a Gemini. And so my brother was like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that, I said, well, you got a couple of things going on in your brain, So we kind of teased about him, my brother, with, I don't want to say split personality. I don't want to say that. I'm going to be real nice. Yeah, changing the mind, having a couple of different people inside, Yeah, when you are president of the country, I don't think you have a choice to have people around you that are more balanced, and that wasn't the case. And also, Pence was a Gemini. Ay, ay, ay. Nope, nope. I don't want to get a lot of messages on Geminis, That's my polar opposite. So, no. Pisces is my polar opposite. So we both share Mercury, So we're thinkers, we're definitely thinkers. And but my brother was taken aback of like him being a Gemini. So yeah, I think that his legacy, I don't know if he has one. If it's going to go down in history with horrific actions and just not a stable person. I will say that, just not a stable person. And so if there are any takeaways of his 4 years presidency, I will say chaos and confusion. Chaos and confusion. excuse me. It was a game. It was like a game. It was a game, like a game show. You're fired kind of thing. He brought all of that into the presidency. People were on revolving doors. It was just unstable. I would just say an unstable individual. And my mother, she left the book, his niece's book. I want to say Mary Trump. That's her name. That's his niece. And my mother left the book when she came out here to visit, and I haven't even cracked it open because she said, "Oh, I read it, but he was like such a trip and blah blah blah." And I'm like, I don't know if I want this to seep in my gray matter another 4 years of what we already went through. I don't know if I want to relive that. So I took the book because I know she was like, well, I won't buy it because I will give it to you when I come out there. And yeah, she left it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to read this. I don't know if I want to read it, because the mindset of this individual was just horrific. So if you believe that there was people are selected, not elected, so he had to play this part. This is the part that he needed to play, which was stirring up chaos and confusion. I believe as a private citizen, I don't know what's going to happen into him being a private citizen. I think a couple of people waiting for him to become a private citizen. But this is nothing new. This is nothing new. I talked to someone earlier today, and she said, this is if anything, he kind of tore off the band-aid of the wound, and perhaps President Obama kind of covered up like at a sweet spot and make it go away. But yeah, the racism has always been here. Racism has always been here. What did we think? We were going to wish everyone peace and love and harmony? Mm-mm, mm-mm. This country was built on these principles and ideas. People that look like me and you, perhaps. This is what we know to do. This is the only way we know how to lead, to put our feet on someone else's neck or back. And why not just let everyone thrive? Let everyone enjoy life. Let everyone enjoy prosperity. Businesses, growing businesses. It's not like we all start at the same place. A lot of people have been able to achieve so much. And whether it has washed away, but you can rebuild, perhaps. You can definitely rebuild your communities and your cities, etc. And so whether you agree with Trump or disagree or you don't have any opinion whatsoever, he made a lasting I don't want to say legacy. He made a lasting charge in this country. So we definitely need to recognize that and be able to stay tuned for a Biden administration. Let's just say the Biden administration will be, 100 days in. Let's check that out. So 100 days in will be a good thing to just put your hand on the pulse of what's going to happen tomorrow. We're going to see, witness that, and hopefully it will be without a hitch. Everything will go smoothly. I don't know if I'm a watch, but yeah, to be able to say Trump is gone, you know, this is a reward in and of itself, because I believe it was a reality show for him. I don't know if he could take the plug out of reality show and go into the mode of, this is where we are today. This is presidential. This is what I need to do. I need to set the tone, blah, blah, blah. So these folks that came up 2 weeks ago to the Capitol, they were thugs. I didn't hear them talk about thugs, but who does that? Who does that? So I just want to, in closing, I know I've been on like 30 minutes. I just didn't know how long I would want to talk about exodus of Trump, but he made everyone more aware of his policies and his racism and the like. So even though people were already waiting for that, they were already there. He just brought them to the top. He just brought them to the top. So it would be nothing less than people kind of tearing off the band-aid on what was already there. So these folks were already there. Trump did not increase. He emboldened them. Emboldened them, and so we can give him credit for that. But they were already there. They were already in the society. You've already been working with them, or taking clothes to the cleaners, or dealing with these folks that were right hiding in plain sight. So we just need to know that he came to do what he did. I don't know if there would be, this country has been more divided since what, the 18 or the 1900s. So these were folks that were already there. I'm not going to say Trump created them. They were never too far away, especially with President Obama coming into office and having 2 terms. Whew, that was more than they could take. So then Trump came right in, and it's questionable if it was legitimate. I'm not going to go there. We got 4 years, and so that's what would have happened anyway. But it's debatable. So just hang on tight. We're there within less than 24 hours. So I am really, really hopeful, prayerful, and our ancestors are right around the corner from our spirit, our bodies, our minds, etc. And so they are actually watching from afar and listening. And I really hope that reparations will be on the table with this administration, because clearly they got at least, I'm going to say like 90% of Black women's votes. The voting bloc of Black women has remained the same. We are the beginning of this whole civilization, Black women and melanated women. And so we have not deviated. My grandparents were actually Republicans, because Republicans, quote unquote, freed the slave. So that's from Lincoln. And so that was their legacy. They would always vote Republican. My grandparents were definitely Republicans on my father's side. And so, we kind of got into the whole voting block of Democrats because they were, as time went on, they seemed more or less racist than the Republicans after time went on. So we put that voting block. You can always, count on Black women to vote the Democratic bloc. Let's just see what, you know, these folks will be able to do. You know, I believe reparations should be on the table. That should be on the table the first 100 days. So I'm going to be paying close attention. I'm going to write a letter and get that off probably within the month and say, hey, we got you in. What's in it for us? So we know that Trump probably needed to go, right? Everyone can agree. But I don't want to go from bad to worse, just because it's a D behind their name. So let's not take our votes for granted because we are often, he's put a lot of people of color and all of that in very key positions. I give him kudos on that. So I'm not going to take anything away. However, what is going to be the policies? If there's a melanated person pushing the same policy of anyone else, whether they're African American, melanated, blah, 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 if the same agenda is being pushed, we have to question that agenda if it's not in the best interest of our people. So stay tuned. Give everyone, Kamala Harris making history, second in line. So that's awesome. I'm not going to take anything away from that ability. But again, if you believe people are selected versus elected, that's debatable, So thank you for tuning in. I just want to close with, the thought of the children being separated from their parents, 500 plus. And I can't imagine a small child not knowing where his or her mother or father is. I just can't even imagine that. So, say a prayer for those children to be reunited. I hope they sue the pants off. Probably not, but the ACLU should be pretty much, I think they're looking for these children and to, be able to reunite them with their parents. So we just send a prayer to them and their parents and the children. So that was one thing that was heartless. That was heartless. So how can you do that when you have parents? When you were born, you weren't born in the wild. You have a mother, you have a father, even though they passed on, but you had that sense of quote unquote family, whether dysfunctional or not. But you knew this person is my mother, this person is my father. So, and these children were denied that on the watch of this country. So, tomorrow's a good new day. And I have a couple of relatives, their birthdays are tomorrow. So shout out, you know who you are. I really want to take a moment to pause and just, like I said, if you believe in the justice system, if all of those people will be brought to justice, That was 2 weeks ago tomorrow. So that's what my prayer is going to be. That the people that rushed, broke in, whether they had inside help or not, but they broke in, show total disrespect. Who does that? You just take over. This is the legacy of, this is the lasting president. This is the lasting image of him speaking right there at the mall. I think it was the mall. And him saying, "I'm going to march with you." He knew it wasn't true, So we're going to march with you. And a lot of people thought that was going to happen. But yes, this is going to be a new day. So the first 100 days, this is going to be really good to see what he's able to roll out, along with Kamala Harris and the rest of the team. I am sending light, love, peace, and joy to the new administration, whether you believe it was elected or selected. So those are going to be the folks that are going to, set policies, etc. So if there's something that you want to see, write a letter to your senator, write a letter to your representative, write a letter to the president, just 45-cent stamp. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. So I'm going to sign off, long video, but I just want to say tomorrow's a new day and we should be encouraged. We've come a long way in 4 years and we've gone backwards in 4 years, but I believe that this is this age of Aquarius, so there's going to be some change regardless. There's going to be some change. And I am really, I think it's over 300,000 people that have passed on during this COVID. So if he can do anything in the next 100 days, is going to be really get a handle on this COVID. So let's just see what happens. All right. Signing off. Peace and love. And you stay well. All right. Take care. Bye.